and you live in your house and you want powder blue kitchen, like kitchen cabinets, or red. Let's say you want red. The high gloss contemporary red cabinets, those are a different story, okay? You're spending a lot of money on those, so it's a different story. But if you wanted to paint something, even if it was your island, let's say the whole kitchen was white and then the island was red. I would absolutely hate that, but whatever. Maybe you would like it. But we all paint our islands, as a pop of color. And that happens a lot. We see it a lot we do it a lot on the show. You see it a lot in the magazines, Pinterest, whatever. And so that's a cool way to bring in color. You could do it yourself. But if you like powder blue and you live in this house, paint it powder blue. But I'll tell you what, 10 years from now when you're selling the house, your realtor's going to come in and say, paint them white. Paint them white because it's what everybody wants, right? White's kind of the most neutral you can go, and you're going to appeal to the masses if you're selling your space. But painting and knowing how to paint your kitchen cabinets, so valuable. You'll be able to actually live in your space and love your space the way that you would without thinking about resale all the time. And I hear it too much. Yes, ma'am. So veneer is a tough one. So veneer is very thin. So you can do it. It depends on what shape it's in. If it's starting to peel away already and you're trying to glue corners, it's a little more, a little more time consuming. But you want to rough it up just a little bit. So with hand sanding, if you have any sort of machine, you're going to go right down and you're going to get rid of the entire veneer because it's like it's like paper thin. But there's a way to do it. So you just have to hand sand, rough it up just a sec, and then you can paint them. Yeah, you just have to be really careful. No, it's not a special paint because it's a wood veneer. Is it a wood veneer? Should be. Veneer usually is used because it's more expensive to do that real, cherry wood versus a veneer. So just be careful with it. Okay, and so then what I was talking about, so you remember when I was telling you about the show at the end where they love the fake flowers, right? So bringing in the green is super important. It brings in life and energy, and that's just what it's meant to do. That's why houseplants are so important. But they're high maintenance. We do a lot of herb gardens on the show. So again, living in Chicago, we like to bring in the green. But having an herb garden is great. It's form and function. It looks really pretty, and we use it. I travel a lot, so I don't have a ton of real plants. I've got 4. And I asked my sister one time, who I never ask her to do favors for me, but I was traveling for about 3 weeks, and I said, Diana, can you please go water all my plants in about 2 weeks? So, sure. She calls me an hour later, 2 weeks later, and an hour after she left. She's like, I'm never doing that again. And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, you've got like 500 plants. And I was like, newsflash, I've got 4. She's like, oh, crap. Well, I watered all your fake plants then. And so I come home, and there's the fake plants that have the little, it looks like glue. Or it looks like water, but it's made out of glue. So it's 6 inches of glue and then 2 inches of water. And it's funny because she thought they were all real because they look so good. Everyone still walks into my kitchen and they're like, oh, the tulips are beautiful. I'm like, okay. How many times do you fall for this? They haven't looked different since you came to the house 10 years ago. But those things make a big difference, right? The accessories and the way to bring in color and the use of light, all of those things can really help you save a lot of time and a lot of money with your kitchen remodel. So I hope you guys learned something today. Hope you've got some takeaways. My new show, which is coming out in July, is called Windy City Flip. So it's about me flipping houses in Chicago. It premiered in July, this last July, and ratings were awesome, so thank you if you did watch it. And we'll be back in July on HGTV. It'll be an hour show, and following me and my business partner around the Windy City, just flipping houses. Yeah. So again, it's going to heavily focus on the kitchen because that's the main part of the house. So there's no way to avoid it. It's always going to be in my life. So anyway, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you guys want to do a little Q&A real quick, anybody want to do that? Ask me questions about whatever, the show, design. White on white, white on white on white. I love white. I do. I love gray. Yeah, gray is the new neutral. I love white counter. My whole kitchen's white. Yeah. Oh, I've got white on white and then brass. And it's, when you've got something that neutral, you can bring in so many different colorways because it's the ultimate neutral, right? And like my cabinet hardware, I brought in brass and like mother of pearl. I got them from Anthropologie. They're beautiful. But that's a cool way to bring in a little life into the kitchen, right? All of your cabinet hardware is really like an accessory, like bracelets or a ring. It's how we dress up our space. Yes. Yes. You can seal marble, but it's really kind of a top layer, and it's almost like a film. That's the only real way to actually always protect them. And you can see it. I don't like it. So it's the only one you can get is honed, so it looks like a matte finish. But it's a thin layer that goes over, kind of like, those little thin glass layers that go over our iPhones so they don't crack or that cracks first. It's like that layer. But no, you can't seal it. Listen, on a honed marble, it works. It looks good. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Quartz versus soapstone, huge difference. Soapstone you will never be able to seal. You just can't. It is the most porous material that you could use. So anybody that has soapstone, you have to actually oil it once a week. Whether it's with like a food safe oil, you could use baby oil, but yeah, you're always oiling it. So quartz is way more durable. On a scale of 1 to 10, quartz is like a 9. Soapstone's a 1. Yeah. It's so pretty. I use it, and I've used it on islands. And then the main part of the kitchen, I'll do something more durable. That way it splits it up. Yes. Kitchen floors, I only do wood. Yeah, or a porcelain that looks like wood. I don't like grout lines. The only grout lines you should have in your kitchen are on your backsplash. I just don't think it's conducive. But with a wood tile, you're doing something called a butt joint. Butt joint means it is literally touching, so you have very small grout lines. Yep. There's not really a new thing in backsplashes. You're always going to have such a big variety. It depends on what you like. But something that's timeless is going to be like a subway tile. And you could do a subway tile in a different pattern. You could do a subway tile in a different size. They've got like a beveled edge or a pillowed edge. So there's ways to change it up. Yes, sir. So Fixer Upper and some of these shows where you see them flipping for a homeowner, it's very different. Okay, so when you're flipping for a homeowner, so let's say I'm Chip and Joanna, and we're doing your house. You guys are paying for it. The show is then going to give a little more money for like the staging or some extra space, but you'll notice you don't see all the rooms on that show, right? Because they're not done. So they're talking about what they spend on what you see. Yep. I hate to say it, but sometimes the pricing is a little fluffed. And again, they might be going on their hard cost. You know what I mean? Like they might be looking at like, oh, well, the show gave us $50,000, and then we spent an extra $75,000. So they might not factor that in. I don't know what to tell you. My show, you'll see the good, the bad, the ugly, and the truth. I mean, listen, I'm not buying $100,000 houses in Chicago. I'm buying $600,000 houses, and I'm selling them for $1.5 minimum, $1.35 minimum. But they're not cheap, and it's the real deal. It's not Waco, Texas. It's Chicago, Illinois. So everything's different. And again, you have to look at that with the pricing too. You're in Waco, Texas. There's nothing going on there. And everything's cheaper. So it could be true. It could be true. I'm not saying that it's not. I think that it's all relative, Yes, sir. Double ovens versus just not having anything under the cooktop. I think it's great. Double ovens are awesome. If you've got the room for it, awesome, because then underneath the stove, you can do the big pull-out drawers with pots and pans, and everything's right there. Yeah, I think it's great. Nice. Good luck to you. All right, guys, well, come on up and say hi and take a picture, but thank you for coming and listening.